So the first principle in public health is that if any geography, any part of India has a test positivity rate above 5% and it crosses 10%, then we should apply strict restrictions. And then when the test positivity rate comes below 5%, we should saturate that particular red zone district with vaccination. Sufficient vaccination of the sufficient population. That degree of herd immunity has not been established. Some people say 60%, some people say 70%, some people say 80%, but we don't know. So clearly, saturating the red districts with vaccination is called as the ring fencing vaccine strategy. And probably that is the only solution now India can have for pulling out of this COVID pandemic. Unfortunately, we have a shortage of vaccines. So let me look at basics of vaccines. We know what are the vaccines available with us. I hope my slides are visible to everybody. Currently, we have vaccines which are available to India are only on two platforms. One is the viral vector platform, which we have the so-called Covishield. We will get the Gamaleya Sputnik vaccine, which is going to be given, and it's already there. And then we have this inactivated virus platform of Bharat Biotech. So currently we have two vaccines. Most of us have got the Covishield, which is a vector-based, adeno-vector-based chimpanzee vaccine. But look at the complete gamut of vaccinations. We have active and passive immunity, and we have antibodies, the monoclonal antibodies, polyclonal antibodies. Plasma is not done well. mRNA induced antibody also has not done well. So I think passive immunity is more or less out. Though there might be role for monoclonal and polyclonal, that will be investigational. And right now I'm not discussing passive immunity in my vaccine update. I'm only going to restrict myself to the various components of vaccination process, which is the DNA vaccine will be out in another 15 days to 1 month. Zydus Cadila is the one which makes it. They have completed their phase 3 trial and they will be submitting the data to the subject expert committee this month in May. Today is May 1st. I wish everybody Labor Day and May Day. It also happens to our statehood day, which is the Maharashtra Day. And so this vaccine should see availability in various states in India by first week of June. Exactly a month from now, you will have this vaccine. 3 doses have to be given for this vaccine, mind you. When the data will be available in public domain, I can't speak more than that. The RNA or the mRNA platform, Moderna and Pfizer, 95% efficacy, 94% efficacy, unlikely to come to India because of cold chain issues. Minus 70 is what Pfizer needs to be stored at. They have the spike protein which is impregnated, but I personally feel we are a long way from RNA vaccine. Viral vector, we will get 3 of these vaccines in next 2 months. Oxford, Astra, or Covishield is already with us, and many one of us have taken it, and I have some of my own personal comments on this vaccine. It's a chimpanzee-based adeno-vector vaccine. The first dose and second dose has a gap of ideally 3 months. Many people are taking it 2 months. It has its own challenges. It has a potential for immune escape in a small percentage of population. It has some data published by Dr. Rakesh Mishra from CCMB in Hyderabad to show that it may also work in vitro models on mutant strains. But currently, it is appearing to be immunogenic for sure and is one of the largest producer vaccines in India and is most likely to be available everywhere. Then the Janssen J&J vaccine is a single dose adenovirus vector vaccine. It's also going to be available in India 2.5 to 3 months from now. It will be made by a company in Hyderabad called Biological Events, and it's currently undergoing phase 3 trials in India. And then we have the Gamaleya Sputnik vaccine, which Dr. Reddy's lab is making it. They are importing the first doses. As we talk, our Honorable Prime Minister has talked to the President of Russia, and I am certain that this vaccine must have already landed. And in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you will see a lot of Indians also getting Sputnik vaccine. And also, Dr. Reddy's lab from the Kasoli plant will manufacture this vaccine also in India. Another interesting vaccine is the viral subunit vaccine. Viral subunit vaccine is Novavax or Novavax, which will be called as Covovax in India. It is undergoing trials right now. Serum Institute is making it. By July, we'll have that available. The other viral subunit vaccines are unlikely to come. The live attenuated vaccines are unlikely to come. And then we have our Covaxin, our homegrown Bharat Biotech Covaxin, and it has a efficacy of around 78%. It has to have 2 doses, 1 month apart, and it has some activity against mutant strains and appears to be clearly having a little edge over the Covishield vaccine. And then, of course, we have the viral like particles, which are very few. Split virus vaccines are our traditional flu vaccines. Not many people have done it. And we also have the RNP vaccine, which is being developed. the ribonucleoprotein vaccine. So we all know that currently what we are restricted with is Bharat Biotech Covaxin, Zydus Cadila, Zycovid will be there in another month. Serum Institute Covishield is there, and Sputnik vaccine from DRL. So that's where we will be. So the whole idea is to generate a robust primary immune response, and the more you delay the second dose, a secondary immune response. But for the mRNA vaccines and for the killed vaccine, which is Covaxin, the definition of the second dose is finite and it is 3 to 4 weeks. While for the Covishield, the difference between the two doses is approximately supposed to be around 3 months. So that's the standard vaccine potential and immunogenicity. We all know that the dogma in biology is that from a DNA you get an RNA and then you get a protein. But in the DNA vaccines, in the RNA vaccines, in the protein vaccines, this is how the application to vaccines look like. So this is the DNA vaccine which will come very, very soon from the plasmid DNA from Zydus Cadila Zycovid. It will need 2 to 3 doses and it will be impactful and effective. mRNA vaccines, Moderna has made their patent open. We wish and pray that some Indian biotech takes it over and generates a Moderna vaccine in India. It doesn't have the cold chain of Pfizer. So, it's something. So we know that RNA and DNA vaccines strike the balance between immune responses. They have a very strong cell-mediated and antibody immune response. And obviously, they are easy to make and they are also safe to administer on immunosuppressed or immunocompromised people with no pathogenic or infectious components as they are injected, eliminating the risk of infection. So clearly, this is a harmless vector carrying the coronavirus genes. Then, of course, we have the live attenuated vaccine, which are unlikely to see the light of the day. And then, of course, we have the classical inactivated vaccine, which is Covaxin, which is available with us. Viral subunit vaccines will be there with us, like the Novavax, I told you. VPL vaccines are unlikely to come. Split virus vaccines may come. mRNA induced antibody may come. So typically, we know that a DNA vaccine will need 2 to 3 doses. RNA vaccine needs 2 doses. Viral and also the DNA vaccine has a specialized delivery system. Viral vector will usually need 2 doses. A live attenuated 1 dose, inactivated 2 or 3 doses. You will get data coming up soon that it will be 3 doses. And then viral subunits again a single dose. So most of these vaccines are intramuscular, but also remember a nasal spray or intranasal vaccines are also being developed. And India, Covaxin manufacturer Bharat Biotech is also developing a nasal vaccine. Some of them can be given intradermally and subcutaneously. Currently, no such trial on oral vaccine is being undergoing, but there are 18 candidate compounds in the oral space also. So typically, what are the risks involved with a nucleic acid vaccine and with a virus or a protein vaccine? So typically, let's look at what we have. The DNA vaccine or the RNA vaccine or the viral vectors, they always have a mutation or integration risk, and obviously the response to production and ease of production is easy. While the inactivated vaccine is very complex, but it is very safe and very, very strong. So what I am going to do is probably stop here, and I'm going to talk to you my things about the 2 vaccines we have. One is, of course, Covishield. So let me talk a little bit on Covishield, then let me talk a little bit about Covaxin, and then maybe a passing remark about the Sputnik vaccine and Zycovid. And then I'll be more than happy to answer questions because I'm sure we have too many questions. So Covishield is what we have the largest experience. 16th of May, we started the vaccination program for healthcare workers, frontline workers. This is a vaccine which definitely has been given to a large proportion of workers. We know for sure that after this vaccine, there is some form of a downregulation of the ACE2 receptor. And we know that in that, if you are exposed to coronavirus and if you don't follow COVID appropriate behavior between first dose and second dose, and you are vulnerable to get a breakthrough. So there is breakthrough data, which means that vaccines do not prevent infection. They probably prevent the disease as well as death. Now that data is also not clear cut. We have seen many cases, including healthcare workers and doctors, where moderate disease has been seen, severe disease has been seen. I have not yet seen anyone losing their life after 2 doses of Covishield. But if there are reportages in this audience, I would like to hear from that. But 2 things are very clear cut, that Covishield generates a very robust immune response, and usually the second dose should be given after 8 to 12 weeks. That's what WHO says. Indian government says give it after 6 to 8 weeks. So probably at least 8 weeks is the earliest you can give the second dose. It is immunogenic. it has a breakthrough of 0.02, while Covaxin has a breakthrough infection rate of 0.04. Now that's in the general population. See, point is we are a healthcare group. So in the healthcare group, our exposure to virus and mutant strains is very high. So whether we have an immune escape, whether we get another mutant, that in Maharashtra there is a mutant, and in Bengal also they have claimed to be having a mutant. But we need to know more genomic science and data on this. And whether a vaccine will escape the mutant, we don't know. So I think these are unanswered questions. We need to do more. Now, lot of questions is who should not take a vaccine. If there is clear-cut history of anaphylaxis or angioneurotic edema to a drug, injection, or a medication, then we advise them to see an allergy specialist. And under desensitization protocol, you can take a vaccine or avoid it. That is what has been recommended. And if you are on a blood thinner, if you have comorbidities, you can go ahead and take the vaccine. If you have G6PD deficiency, you can go ahead and take the vaccine. If you take one dose, then get COVID. When should you take the second vaccine? The COVID itself works like a natural immune booster. We recommend the second dose to be given after 3 months. If you get COVID after 2 doses of the vaccine, then when should you take the third dose? Well, there is no data on this. Preferably after 3 months, but probably we understand and recognize that this data is not forthcoming. Suppose you got COVID, when should you take the vaccine? Should you take it after 6 weeks? Should you take it after 12 weeks? No granularity on data on that. Possibly answer is that take it after 3 months because natural immunity lasts you at least for 3 months. How robust is the T cell response of the vaccines? Not just the B cell or the immunogenic response. Yes, they all have T cell response. The biggest challenge is antibodies. In fact, I wrote a Twitter post couple of days back that except research setup, please don't run behind antibodies. Let me explain you. There are 4 types of antibodies which are done. Okay, and they all give us erroneous results. First is a mixed antibody where there is IgM, IgG, IgA. If you do this antibody after a Covishield or Covaxin, it will often be 0. So it's only a general non-specific antibody. Second antibody which is done for basically plasma donation is the IgG, and it's again a quantitative assay, and often this antibody may be elevated, but it is not a neutralizing antibody. So again, that will not give you a correct reading of efficacy of a vaccine. The third antibody which is now popularly done by various pathology labs is a spike protein antibody. The spike protein antibody is supposed to be a reasonable correlate with the qualitative neutralization test. Again, that will not be very accurate. You might often see people who have a spike protein antibody above 250 and they have got a breakthrough COVID. So that is also not going to be robust. So what truly you need to do is take a petri dish and actually have the virus and expose it to the serum of the person who has received the vaccine and see the percentage neutralization. So that's a qualitative assay, which is called as PRNT. And that test is done only in specialized virology or research labs like an NIV Pune or a Hyderabad lab of CCMP. So in some of our labs like Breach Candy Hospital, our microbiologist does something called as virus neutralization test. So if you really want to know a vaccine has worked, and sometimes in special situations under medical supervision, we allow that the virus neutralization test will tell you into percentage how much percent you are protected. So I will give you my own example. I took the vaccine on 16th of January, and after that, after 4 weeks, when I did my mixture of IgG, IgM, IgA, it was around 5. When I did IgG, it was around 10, with 1 being normal. And when I did a virus neutralization test, it was 95% neutralization, with more than 20% being normal. So see how the variation is. After 8 weeks, when I again repeated my IgG, IgM, and mixture as well as the virus neutralization, the virus neutralization remained at around 90%. So it was a little drop. And after 10 weeks, when I did it, my virus neutralization had come to 22%, while these antibodies had continued to rise. So then obviously I knew that I had to take my second dose, which I did after around 9.5 or 10 weeks. So obviously, but this was done as a research project. So I was a subject in a research project. So I can disclose that to you. But you have to be very categorical that don't rush into antibodies. If at all you do the antibody, the spike protein on Covishield can be erroneous, and you might have to do a virus neutralization test or send it to a dedicated virology lab. That's number 1. So that is as far as Covishield is concerned. Covishield can have adverse events like fever, flu-like syndrome, often give paracetamol prophylactically, because what happens if you have heart disease, there is a thrombogenic disease, tendency. And when you get tachycardia because of fever, you can actually get precipitation of cardiovascular events. And you might attribute it to the vaccine wrongly. So you need to ensure that post-vaccination, particularly, you need to have a cardiac vigilance is what we recommend for the Covishield. As far as Covaxin is concerned, usually no adverse events are seen. 2 doses have to be given at 1 month apart. I think they may need a third dose also, but we don't know data on that. And they are immunogenic. They may not be as immunogenic as probably Covishield is, but we don't know on the neutralization component. Most of that data is still not in public domain. And the third vaccine which we are going to get is an adenovector vaccine, which uses 2 different adenovectors, which is the Sputnik vaccine. The Sputnik vaccine is a Russian vaccine. It will clearly have a 91% efficacy as per the Lancet paper. It might have a live component of the virus. That is why Brazilian authorities didn't accept it. But my personal take on it is, in efficacy terms, it's probably better than the Covishield. Covishield given 2 or 3 months apart probably has 80% or 82% protection. If it is given 1 month apart, probably it is 65 to 70% protection. Covaxin around 78% protection. Sputnik global data is around 91%. They have done a bridging trial, phase 2, phase 3 for India. Data not available. So again, it awaits data. And Zydus, Zycovid with 3 doses, data will be in public domain in 2 to 4 weeks from now. So that's how we are on the vaccine front. I have a couple of minutes left. I'm certain that I can't cover vaccine, in 20 minutes. It can take the whole day of discussion, because as I said, it's one of the hottest debated topics in the country. But one thing is sure, whatever may be the science behind vaccines, one thing is, if we have to beat COVID, it's only mask and vaccine. And we have to saturate every district which has more than 10% test positivity rate with vaccination and masking. So that's a clear thing. Independent of the vaccines you get, don't get scared of breakthrough infections, because a large population will get immunized, and even if they get a breakthrough vaccine disease, it will be mild or asymptomatic, and they will recover. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Joshi, for your vivid description on the vaccine. I think there will be a question from the audience. So if you have any question, you can ask.
Joshi, I have one question. What is the outcome? Some of the post-vaccinated people are infected.
That is correct.
So how much is the severity?
Usually they have asymptomatic or mild disease. That's what I alluded to. They are called as breakthrough vaccinations, and they have mild disease.
Shashank, a lot of us got 4 weeks second dose, because the initial government recommendations were 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, you get the Covishield.
Hello.
Sorry.
Shashank, this is...
Dr. Wander, how are you?
Yeah. A lot of us got second dose at 4 weeks, because the initial guideline was to take the second dose correct. At 4 weeks. So is there a role for a third dose now for the Covishield, or what is the current
thinking? I'm not so sure for Covishield there's a third dose required, as long as your immunogenic response is robust.
So can you check the antibody for this, what Dr. Wander asked? So if I think for us, if we check the antibodies, if it is not up to the level, so should I take a third dose?
I think you might take a third dose of another vaccine, but that is anecdotal. That is not a standard of care, but probably yes.
Another question from my side. Suppose in a post-COVID patient, antibody titer is very high. Do you recommend vaccination in that group?
No.
What is the cutoff value above which the antibody do not recommend?
I said I will do virus neutralization. About 20% is my cutoff for the virus neutralization assay.
So one question on Covaxin.
Yeah.
After what interval of first dose of Covaxin,
exactly after what
interval second dose should be taken?
After 1 month, and maximum delay possible is maximum 1 week, not beyond that.
Okay.
The third dose of vaccine, which one should it be for persons who have had Covishield 2 doses? And what is your idea about the mutant strains? Because all these vaccines we're having are from the original strain from last year, but it's totally different now, the virus we're having. So those 2 questions, sir.
So your first question, I don't have an answer, and nobody has an answer for that. What should be the next dose after these 2 doses? Should it be a Covaxin? Probably, after 2 doses of Covishield, if you still have a breakthrough and you are non-immunogenic, you have not generated antibodies. My guess is right now I only have Covaxin available. But I might also have had COVID, which will also give me some protection. So for 3 months, I'll wait and I'll see what vaccines are available with me. I will definitely not go back to Covishield again because probably it escaped. So probably a killed vaccine may be a more appropriate term. They have a preprint publication right now, which clearly states that there is a challenge and which we know they take care of. You are absolutely right, Partha, that this is the old strain and we will have like flu vaccines, newer strains coming. So we'll have incremental innovations on them. We will get Novavax by then. So I would either choose between a Covaxin and Novavax, maybe a month or 2 months from now. But I'll wait and I'll just be more careful because that's the only thing because I will have some T cells with me on board because I have taken 2 shots of the vaccine and 1 COVID. So obviously I have some degree of immunity at least for 3 months. So I would not rush because I will see more data coming in. See what's happening with COVID is predictably unpredictable, including the science of COVID is predictably unpredictable. So my answer today is what is the data available today? So database available today, 2 doses of Covishield, breakthrough, full COVID, wait for 3 months. If nothing else available, probably COVID.